Yeah, so Richard, just touch your screen and then you should be able to tap the microphone. There you go.
There you go.
Just testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
That's good. Sarah, did you say you had a video to show?
I did, but I messed it up, so it's fine.
Okay, well, we'll scoot right along. Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
The Retirement Education Committee, members of our committee, Region 1, David Prim from Ravenwood up in Northwest Missouri. Region 3, Dave Bagley from Macon. Region 4, Janice Lowenslager from Columbia. Region 4, Lenore Brenner from Sedalia. Region 6, Terry Garner from Adrian. Region 7, we have somebody coming into that, but I'll wait to make that announcement later. Region 8, Sandy Berry from St. Louis. Sherry Lohan from Carthage. Sue Groves from Springfield. John Poston, Region 11 from Bonne Terre. Region 12, Sherry Cole from Malden. Region 13, Mary Reese from St. Charles. Region 4, Velma Bailey from St. Louis. That's our group. We have, like everyone else, we have been strapped because of the COVID and not being able to meet. We have communicated some, not as much as I probably should have. One of the tasks that we have is to educate and inform public school educators and community on the value of the education pension benefits. What we've tried to do is look at the issue around why it matters. And I'm putting together a handbook for us to use as topics that we can converse with members in our various regions. The first part of this will talk about the value and importance of MRTA. And earlier in our meeting, we were talking about the number of people who opt out, who don't join, and so forth. So to me, the real issue that we need to get at is, why does it matter? Why is it important that we are members of MRTA? And there are several reasons for this. One is, obviously, the task is to try to get at the issue of protecting the public school retirement system. But one of the challenges I think we have in conjunction with that is to look at, why is the PSRS important? And ask yourself the question of, what would public schools look like without PSRS? And in looking at some of the data on the value and importance of PSRS, it translates, in my mind, to enhanced student performance. If we look at the data on our teaching staff in this state, we have a very seasoned, experienced teaching staff that translates to high performance on our students, or by our students. And looking at, and Jim mentioned this earlier, our salaries are pathetic. We're on a race to the bottom in terms of what we pay our teachers. And yet when we look at student performance measures in the state, our kids perform well above national average on a variety of performance characteristics. One, the number of kids going to college and graduating, the percentage of kids scoring at or above the national average on ACT, the number of kids who go into employment through our vocational technical programs right out of high school. All of those numbers and others are well above the national average. So you ask yourself the question, what is the variable here? What makes the difference? Are our kids inherently smarter than kids from other parts of the country? Probably not. Although we might, those of us who have grandkids realize that they're of course gifted. But coming into reality, we realize that our kids are probably about like kids anywhere else in the country. So what's the difference? The difference is in my mind, is a solid teaching staff. We know that 95% of our teachers who obtain 15 years or more in stay till retirement eligibility. The teaching years of experience of teachers across the state are 23 years. So we have a very experienced teaching force, and that does make a difference. And so as we look at the issues around what's important to us in protecting our teacher retirement, we realize that the PSRS does more than just protect our pensions. It translates to enhanced student performance. And those are the things that we are trying to put together to get out to members of the public. This pamphlet here, several of us put together that talks about the public schools and the history of public schools in this state. And all of you, I think, have copies of this. But we look at the economic impact of the teachers in the state of Missouri. One of the things you'll hear after a bit in another committee report will be what we do in retirement. Our teachers do not retire and go to the beach. Some do. But the majority of our retirees stay engaged. We have numerous individuals that are retired that continue to serve on school boards. Many become teachers and administrators in other educational institutions, particularly in higher education. A lot of the teaching force of higher educational administration is done by retired administrators in this state. Some of our teachers go to neighboring states and continue to teach. Some serve on community boards. Some serve as volunteers. We have over $14 million worth of volunteerism that is contributed in the state of Missouri. $14,990,888 are contributed to the state of Missouri through our volunteer efforts. The point being that we continue to work. So my point in all this is that MRTA provides a vehicle and a structure for retired teachers to stay engaged and productive. And that to me becomes one of the selling points of why I stay with MRTA. The other part of this is that we continue to support public schools. Since 2003, we have contributed almost $400,000 to the Missouri to the Retired Teachers Foundation that goes back into the classroom to help teachers and to help those people that are in the classroom. So our role is more than just protecting our retirement. And so this is one of the things I think the Retirement Education Committee continues to try to address in terms of why does it matter to be a part of MRTA? And it is bigger than just supporting our retirement, although that is in fact important. It's extremely important. We are the only organization that our main focus is protecting our retirement system. And again, as I've already said, when you think about the importance of our retirement system, it's more than just protecting our retirement, which can be viewed as being somewhat self-serving. But when we start looking at the grand scheme of things and realize that our retirement system translates to providing a robust, experienced teaching force for the children in Missouri schools, it becomes a big deal. So one of the goals that we have is to educate our school educators and also our communities on the value of our pensions and how good a pension benefits is. Another group of people that we need to begin to work with, and we are going to be doing this, are the people who train our teachers. As teachers are coming through the teacher preparatory programs in our institutions of higher education, somewhere along the line, they need to get an infusion of our retirement system and how important it is. We have a pilot project and that effort going on in Southwest Missouri with Dennis Cooper at Missouri State and Missouri Southern, and getting those people in their teacher preparatory programs to begin to tell those folks, as I said, again, going into teacher ed programs, the value and importance of our retirement system. We're looking at this next fall of getting into developing a packet, a back to school packet that can be handed out to all teachers and all administrators on the value and importance of MRTA and the retirement system. We're working on an outline that gets at this issue. The first part of this will be a discussion on the role and importance of MRTA. And we've already highlighted some of those, and you heard some of those in presentations already, and you'll hear more about that. But what has been our history? How have we arrived at this point? The second chapter, or the second piece of this position paper, looks at the value and importance of PSRS. And I've already touched on that some. But what's the makeup of the PSRS system? We have some people who say that going to a 401k plan will benefit public education. And if you begin to look at what is going on currently with legislation, the 401k plan will not contribute the same amount of benefits to our retirees as the PSRS does. The hidden factor in this is that if school, let me back up a little bit. If I'm on a board of education and I'm strapped for money, our district is strapped for money. When I start looking at 14.5% that goes out to our contribution to match my contribution rate, they say that's a big ticket, and it is. But if you go to the 401k plan, what you're not told is that 6.5% goes to Social Security. So you add 6.5% to the, say, 7% that the 401k plan would require. You're at 11.5%, and you're almost at 14.5% now. Plus, you just simply do not have the same level of benefit. So there are some points that we're going to put together in this position paper that that our committee will have and will get out to each of you that speaks to these very important issues around what the landmines are with our public school retirement system. And again, for the third time, I go back to this: why does it matter? Why does it matter? I have a classic example with my son, or one of my sons. I have two boys and a daughter that all three are teachers. So I get a infusion regularly of the challenges that teachers have. I've been retired 21 years, but I stay like some of the rest of you who have children that teach. And I have a son who was in a situation after 9 years or so of teaching, said, I'm going to get out of this. He said, it's not working. He was not in a good situation, and he decided he was going to get out of it. I sat down and I said, Mike, sit down and let's visit about this. What he hadn't contemplated was realizing that if he got out, the 14.5% that the district was putting in was on the table and was going to go away. And we started figuring that out, and it was a pretty fair chunk of money. And so fortunately, he wound up in a district where he's exceedingly happy. He loves the kids, he's doing well, and I'm tickled to death for him. But the reason that he stayed was because of the public school retirement system. And again, the point is that our retirement system keeps good people in the classroom. So this is a point I think that needs to be made as we start talking about the advantages of PSRS. The other things, and you've heard this before, the strength in numbers, and Jim is right on target when he talks about, we've got 30% of the people who probably are don't want to be engaged. And I understand that. You've run the race full speed for 25, 30 years or whatever, and you want to get away from it. I understand that. But for the rest of the people that I characterize as get a hook into and get them involved in MRTA and discussed with them around the points of why it matters, what we do. We are the only organization out here that our major focus is protecting the retirement system. And again, for the second time, I said it sounds self-serving when we say things like that, but in fact, this is protecting our public educational system that in my mind is under attack at this time. We've never seen a time like this. This legislation that's coming through is wicked, it's destructive. And we have got to continue to beat the bandwagon about why our retirement system matters and fundamentally the importance of our public school system. This country is great because of our public educational system. We are the only country that says to kids, wherever you live, you come to school, you have the same books as kids from other locations within the community, et cetera, et cetera. We all know that. But we're going to have to continue to champion that even more than we have in the past. Some of the responsibilities we have, and you've got this on your list. My time is running short. Encourage every MRTA unit to have a retirement education chairperson and a committee. Again, I need to do a better job with this and moving forward in trying to help those lead people in each of those 14 regions with information. And thus, I'm putting together this information sheet. I've worked with Psrs on some bullet points with them, again, around why the Psrs matters and the value of it. The other factor is the economic return in the state of Missouri. For every dollar that is spent in retirement, we get a substantial refund on that. The majority of the retirement benefit money is spent in the 114 counties in the state. And again, that's all of that is in this material here. And if you haven't read that, I would encourage you to do so. We're in the process of updating this. This information was based on 2019 data. So we're updating that. But my responsibility, I feel, is to put together information that this committee and all of us, I've heard several of you talk about when you travel, and I see some of this. I live in the Kansas City area. I see some of this in our region where I'll run into a retired teacher and they say, "Well, did you know?" And they'll pull out of their purse or their back pocket or something, some information on MRTA or on education. So I know a lot of you carry this stuff with you, and good for you. But we must, I characterize this as circle the wagons and get at this notion of why it matters. The fundamental issue to me is our public education system is under attack. Not only our retirement system, but as Jim talked earlier about Senate Bill 55, the House bill that deals with House Bill 349 that deals with vouchers. That is around the whole notion of, in my mind, destroying public education system. So we're trying to put together information to get out and be very proactive and support this organization. My time is up. Any quick questions? You can ask Jim those questions to get a response. No, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be glad to try to answer them. Before I get off, one of the mistakes I've made, this is my first year as chairman of this committee. And again, the COVID thing shut us down. We historically have gone to meetings. We have the superintendent's meeting coming up March 25, 26. Secondary principals meetings following right on the heels of that, March 28, 29. We have spent a lot of time going to meetings and going to the vendor booth, the information booth type of thing. And that's well and good, and we will continue to do that. But these professional development opportunities have pretty well been shut down. Although these two coming up, they're going to be in person some. But what I have done is work with each of these organizations to try to develop some strategies around how we can get information into the group of superintendents, the group of principals, the various entities within the state, and try to get their organizations to help us carry the water on on these issues that are important to all of us. We have, Jim and I are working with the superintendents that are retiring. As of to date, there are 54 districts that are making a change. 35 of those are retiring. We'll be sending a letter to each of those retirees, congratulating them on their career, et cetera, and encouraging them to join MRTA. We'll be doing the same thing with building administrators. And I know some say, well, why don't you do that with teachers? Well, we don't have the capacity to know the teachers that are retiring, but I can get the superintendents that are retiring, the building administrators that are retiring. I could get those. So anyway, I'm open to suggestions of how we do better. As I said, I need to do more in the time remaining to get the word out on what's important to this organization and fundamentally to this profession. How do we protect and enhance this profession? Questions? I've talked too long, Lee.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. I appreciate you giving all that information. Anybody have a comment or question for Richard?
I'm coachable, so tell me what I need to do or not do.
Richard, I think you're right on, because this is exactly what we've been trying to do for as long as I've been on the board. As far as I'm concerned, you're right on. And I like, why does it matter? Why does it matter that you joined MRTA?
I do too. I would like to have some of those ideas you said in print, so we can share them maybe in newspaper articles or at least at meetings, or you touched on some things I had not even kind of thought about. So I need to see that stuff in print somewhere.
You got it. You should have it.
Is
Okay.
this
Well,
information
Yeah.
on the website under retirement tab, under the retirement tab? I mean,
Show us that,
Retirement
so-
committee.
that,
Yes, this is available.
I don't know. You hear me?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Well, I agree with you completely on, what your approach to it. It's an approach that we really need to have, because if you can't justify our retirement system, it's pretty hard to protect it. And I think that the people in the communities need to have this information, just like all the people have said so far. And we just need to find creative ways to get it to them. And also, looks to me like that. I like the chart. I think that you probably, my thought is that it would be nice to have smaller bites. That's an awful lot of stuff in one place. And I'm afraid that people would not read the whole thing. They'd start looking at it and says, oh gosh, it's going to wear me out. So I think maybe we need to figure out some way to get it to them in smaller bites.
That's right.
Other than that, that's it.
Amen, brother.
Some of us are at the age where we wear out pretty quickly. But what my intent is in this packet is that each of you will be able to pick out, as said, the various parts of this. That's as you visit in your units, as our chairpersons go to the region meetings and they have 5-10 minutes. They're not going to be able to cover all this stuff, but they can, over the course of a year, hit the majority of these points. And based upon the political landscape at that particular time, they will be able to address these particular topics. Again, the economic benefit to the state of Missouri, that's huge. That's huge. And the return on investment. The issue around the 401k thing is a landmine. It no way can compete with our current retirement system, and so forth and so forth. So again, each of you will be able to pull out whatever pieces of this you want and make copies and distribute to your members in the units.
And this needs to be hammered into our legislators too. They need to be educated about our economic windfall, their economic windfall. If something happens to our retirement, this goes away.
Yeah, what's the cost of this? One other comment. I visited with Mr. Kreider here 2 or 3, 4 years ago or so. And we had a good discussion around, you know, where do we want some of this to go? And my comment to Jim, and as we visited on this, we agreed that we wanted to move from a position of being on the defense to one of being on the offense. And if philosophically, if we agree with that, then how do we do that? And on December the 10th, 2019, we had I work with retired superintendents in the state with the Missouri Association of School Administrators. And we conducted a meeting. We had 85 retired superintendents in this meeting. Jim made a presentation there. And one of the things that came out of that meeting with these superintendents, and these are folks that you guys have worked with and whose names you would recognize. But that's how this document evolved. What they were saying to us is arm the foot soldiers. That's us. We are the foot soldiers. Arm the foot soldiers to carry the water, so to speak, to the General Assembly, to our public. But again, going back to the thing that Jim kept stressing, in moving from being on the defense, and by that I mean a piece of legislation comes along and we react to it. We need to get in front of this and start going on the offense and saying, this is why this matters. So
I was going to say, we need to be proactive rather than reactive.
yes.
And Jim, you had a comment to make?
Well, I was just going to mention that if you remember a few years back, this committee was, the name of this committee was Retirement Planning. So when we renamed it Retirement Education, I think you can see by Chairman Phillips what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate our members. We're trying to educate the active. We're trying to educate the public, trying to educate the legislators on the importance of PSRS, the importance of public education, the importance of a well-trained, experienced teaching workforce. And I think we're going in the right direction here for sure. We hope you agree, but you'll be hearing more and more from retirement planning as we put together this information. I always want to tell our committee people, we try our best to have information on those tabs on the website, where if you have a meeting at 10 o'clock, you can go to that website at 9 o'clock and you can print off a report and you can give it. We want to make it easy on the kids. So if you have a vacancy in a retirement planning, say, hey, this is going to be easy. The reports are all there. We're here to promote our pension system and to educate people what it does and how it does it and why it's important. So I encourage every unit to fill those vacancies, get us a retirement education chair, and let's educate the public as well as ourselves on the importance of PSRS. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. You did a great job. Appreciate it.
Okay. And something was said about putting an article. I will be putting an article out. I think it's April newsletter, wasn't it, Sarah?
May.
May. Okay, there's going to be something kind of related to this. So be looking for that in the next newsletter. So, okay, any other comments or questions for Richard? Okay, is Marlon around?
He is not, and actually, why don't we give away some money?
Hey, that's a good idea.
All right, we'll see if I can do this right this
Who
time.
wants money? Raise your hand.
All right, can you guys see the wheel?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Mary Tweety. All right, Mary Jo. We're gonna send Mary Jo and John $50. Okay.
Is that all?
Sarah,
Yes.
did you have a chance to fix that video or is it unfixable?
I can fix it. I can show it. I got flustered and I couldn't figure out what was wrong, but I know it was wrong now. Do you want me to show it?
I want you to show retirement planning video.
All right.
Right, quick.
Sorry, guys. I just got all flustered and I couldn't figure out what I did wrong, but I know.
Retirement education. Woo.
Yeah. Hold on one second.
I'm sure none of us has ever been flustered.
Well, I have 3 monitors and it gets confusing when I'm trying to share my screen sometimes. Okay. Okay, pause. Screen 1. Okay.
It's like she's flying a 747.
Retirement Education Committee Chair Richard Phillips. He worked really hard on putting this piece together. It tells retired teachers and anyone who's interested in how important public schools are to the state of Missouri and why we need experienced school teachers to keep our economy strong.
All right. That's
Okay, that
part
was,
of it.
That puppy dog was paying attention.
Play it one more time. See if we can get the whole video on there. Just give her a shot. There we go.
Blitz, this is a great piece of information from our Retirement Education Committee Chair, Richard Phillips. He worked really hard on putting this piece together. It tells retired teachers and anyone who's interested in how important public schools are to the state of Missouri and why we need experienced school teachers to keep our economy strong.
There you go. Thank you. Very good, Sarah. Very good.
Thank you, Sarah.
okay, sorry. I know that really wasn't worth all the buildup, was it?
Yes, it was.
You had the
Okay.
you had Blitz's attention. You had the watchdog's attention. It's
I
good.
guess. Yeah.
All right.
Is Marlon on at all today? Is he gone? or-
I'm working